Well, it was a new thing that was coming on the market. You know, there was Milton Berle was already on. He was on. He was on. I went on in 1948. I went on in 1949, and did a guest appearance on Milton's show, and I looked around and I said, "Yeah, that's gonna be done." And Max was going to put on a review, and I remember he said, "We're going to talk about it." So we're going to have a meeting with the vice president of NBC in charge of television, the vice president, because radio was still big. And we had a meeting at, I forget the name of the restaurant. It was on 52nd Street, I know that. And we were sitting there, and he said, "Well, you want a half hour, an hour, or an hour and a half?" And I'm looking at the menu. I said, half hour to wait for some food. I said, an hour? Who's going to wait for an hour? An hour and a half that you got to order before you come? He says, no. You want to do what kind of a show? You want a half-hour show, an hour show? That's the way it was. This is 1949, or an hour and a half. So I looked at Max. Max looked at me, and I said, let's go for the hour and a half. Little did I understand anything about television. Who's going to write it for an hour and a half? Who's going to write this stuff and put this on? But Max was used to doing it. He was used to putting on shows every week in the Poconos, you know. So I had some background in that, you know, and I had some background from what I learned in the Catskills. And with that, I sat down with the writers. It was Mel Tolkien and Lucille Callan, and then we got in Mel Brooks. That was the very beginning. And we started to do the show. It was called the Admiral Broadway Review. It was an hour show. And it was like doing television in King Arthur's court. Because you didn't know where you were. Everybody was, you got this, I got that. No, you come, I'll get this. No, don't get that. And I remember the first show, there were two engineers walking around. One had a big plug with a wire, and another guy had another plug. He said, anybody got the female to this? You know, got the family, and they haven't got, because they had to wait for the cameras. This is the show that's going to go on that night. We had to wait for the cameras to come in from Ebbets Field. They were shooting the baseball game with the Dodgers. And we had to wait for the cameras to come in from Ebbets Field after the game, and then we first locked the show and then put it on. We didn't know where to put the microphones. So we said, we didn't have body mics then. So we had foot mics. And they couldn't hear, so I put in a boom mic. That's what they use in the movies. All right, use that. And it was done step by step. It was like putting things together. You had, well, we're going to need this. All right, we solve problems. And you have to invent. You had to invent right there. And doing a show live on television is a different animal altogether than doing it today. I mean, on tape is... That's like relaxing. That's like going on vacation. But I guess everybody makes up their own craziness. But doing it live, which meant the way they shot it, that's the way it went on over the air. There was no editing, no nothing. I mean, it was much better because you didn't have somebody playing with, you think we should, when they edit, you know, I think they should, have the laugh here, then cut him in, then cut him out, then bring him in, then cut this around, then shoot him from here, then come back. I said, no. The joke is here. Don't cut away from the joke. After the joke, for the reaction, then you cut away. They didn't understand that. They said, well, we got to get the reaction while you're doing it. I said, no, while I'm doing it, that's the performance. Don't cut away from the performance. You cut away for a reaction after the performance. What if you're doing dialogue back and forth, that's one thing. But if you're doing a performance, you don't cut away. And this was a thing that they had to learn. And I had to get somebody, and I had to go in there every day when we had the run-through and see that the cameras, you know, in the right place. Because they would say, he's saying the joke, go to him. He's saying the joke, no, don't go to him. It's the reaction. There's a difference when you're doing a performance or when you're saying something and the reaction is the laugh. So it's a different kind of laugh. It's not the joke, it's the reaction of the person. And this all had to be learned and was done over and over and over, and we did it. And it's something that says, well, how are we going to do this? You do it.